reminds me so much, as this is where I see someone lose his life. I was 7 years of age, calling for his mother, you know, and he died in front of me. Hi guys, I'm Stephen Gillen. I've been waiting to do this one. I have to say, this is one that is really close to me, and my heart, and my journey of life experience. Today I'm going to react to the timeless In the Name of the Father. I didn't come to this country, to London in the East End, till I was 9, of course. So I grew up. There'd be the riots, you know, I see terrible things over there, but it's so authentic, it was just like this. And you'd run through, you'd have all these little back alleys as well where I lived. And yeah, you'd get all that, you know, you'd get the IRA boys and the paramilitaries. And the army or the RUC would come, of course they'd go out and they'd bang the bin lids to let everyone know that they was there. Reminds me so much, as this is where I see someone lose his life. It's well documented, and I was stuck under a hedge and I watched this guy. I was 7 years of age, crying my eyes out. He was calling for his mother, you know, and he died in front of me, and it reminds me so much, this scene of that, because it was like that. We was all running like that. You had the armoured pigs like that, and up in the flats, this is just what it was like. There was, you know, there was traded gunfire across the flats, and you couldn't move on that road. So this is, yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Even that young kid there, I used to do that, because you'd see that as a young kid, you see all the guns. I used to go like that. I used to get a clip around the ear off for that and just say, don't do that, because they might think you have a gun, you know, and shoot, right?
Where's all the missing pieces?
This is a great scene of them doing the acid. And of course, In the Name of the Father is the story of the Guildford Four, who was wrongly convicted of the Guildford pub bombings in the early 70s. I can just imagine what this would have been like, you know. I mean, I served over 12 years as a Category A prisoner. And certainly I know in them days, the early 70s, anyone who was on the landings for accused of IRA crimes or offences, they got it really, really bad. You know, the old gangsters of the day, the old school people, they didn't like that then, right? You know, they didn't understand it. In later years, you know, when I was in there, you know, them IRA boys, they wasn't gangsters. Their mindset was they were soldiers, they was revolutionaries, they was freedom fighters. They really, after so much hardship in prison, from the screws, from even the inmates in the early days, become quite prominent, and they was really accepted with all the chaps and all the faces of the day when I was certainly there, after people understood what was really going on in Ireland. Got his son in there. Imagine being ripped off the street, tortured into writing a confession for something like this, killing people that you certainly didn't do. Imagine the fear and the torture around that, and then getting that prison sentence, and everyone thinking you're guilty. And then, of course, there's the father and the son in there. His father was a very straight man. Imagine what that must have been like for these guys, day in, day out, to get over this.
Jerry Colin lost his father in prison. Did you lose anyone close to you whilst you were in prison?
Yeah, unfortunately I did. I lost my uncle there, which was like a surrogate father to me. And I can remember the one thing about that is I felt really, really guilty, because I was so violent, so ill at that time, that I was that prison sentence and the darkness of it all in my life had sucked every bit of emotion out of me. So I couldn't actually cry. So I really understand what it was like to have to deal with that under them circumstances.
All prison officers to vacate the wing. All officers vacate the wing.
This is a very dark story of a very traumatic period, certainly in Ireland's history and in England's history. It shows the insides of what it's really like to be a condemned, pretty much, person, forgotten. It shows the physical day in, day out violence. It shows how you have to be someone that you're really not, how you have to put this other face on. You know, and the other part of it is, I have to say, when I was in the darkest, deepest hole, I was in the cages, there's this little moment where any little victory is some little victory. And this lightens the soul, you know, it lightens the darkness. And that used to keep us going, right? Now the muftis come in. This is the CNR, you know, mufti used to be called, and they'd come with the batons and all this stuff, and they'd strip you down naked, they'd get snatch squads. I've been in these situations just like these, in a riot in Whitemore, for instance, where they'd come in like this, and there was like snatch squads, and then they'd transport us, throw us along, and then we was thrown into a cell naked, you know. A lot of people was shipped out. Very authentic. They was very brutal in them days with the use of the batons as well.
Strange what time does when you're in prison, you know?
It's very hard to depict or make anyone really understand in any depth what it's like to be in such a dungeon of a high security prison for decades. But I think here the use of voiceover, you know, and you know, the way they get this content in here does a bit to show that in a good way, just what that desperation and the effect it has on your mental health in something like that has. He's losing the plot, of course. And there are times in there, believe me, I don't care how strong you are, when you're at your deepest, most basic human place, there's not a lot left. It's not what people would think. And you can lose the plot and do some strange things very easily. Over a decade that I spent as a category of prison in high security prisons, I certainly had a lot of mental health problems in there, you know, close to suicide there before. A lot of things. I was even nutted off at one point, you know. I had really bad problems with addiction and all that. And when you're talking about the addiction, you know, and you're taking drugs, as they are in here with acid, I mean, seems like a good idea, right? But it's one flew over the cuckoo's nest. It's really Alice in Wonderland and down the rabbit hole, and it never serves you. I've been 15 years clean now. Emma Thompson again there, playing the lawyer. Wonderful role. Top class actor, really pushes this script.
This note was attached to it when I found it in police files. It reads not to be shown to the defense.
But you think of the predicament of these guys, where they want a body, right? They want someone convicted for this. You've got the special branch, the whole bit. They're under pressure to get someone. You know, so they concocted the evidence. I mean, what a terrible thing to do. And look at how these people paid. They ended up serving 15 years. Another thing that this film is so masterfully structured with is the reveal and how that story is put together and how the defense got behind all this corruption within the police to keep these people in prison for so long. And within that is the wonderfully crafted human story that really ties in to so much historic and political history that stretches and is aligned between Ireland and England.
Silence! The case is hereby dismissed.
It's a wonderful film. It has all the characters. What I like about this film is its humanness and how it sheds a light on the darker parts of corruption that are always usually papered over, masked over, swept to the side.
I'm an innocent man. I spent 15 years in prison for something I didn't do.
Great ending, a very human ending and a very true ending, in the elevation, the justice and the right thing was done in the end, right? Wonderful film. What did I think about In the Name of the Father? Authenticity? I've got to give this one a 9, guys, because they really went into the nuances here, and my understanding of growing up in Belfast in the middle of this. But, I got my sentence in 1991 as a Category A, just 2 years after they was released, and a lot of them old IRA guy was about the same time. So I remember how it was in there, and I remember my own experience in the high security prison estate. Very authentic. And what do I give In the Name of the Father? Filmmaking ability. It's a masterpiece, a timeless quality classic in many ways. Daniel Day-Lewis, Emma Thompson played massive roles to move this script forward. The cinematography, the scripting is second to none. I would have to also give it a 9.